Welcome back to Let's Make a Game, a channel about making computer role-playing games using the free program Twine and the Sugarcube format for Twine. In this video, I would like to continue talking about my current project of coding the combat system for a viewer's game. More specifically, we've been talking about the code which relates to ordering a companion to change weapons. So, as you can see, I've started a combat and I've gone into the companion inventory screen, and you'll notice that there's a change here. So everything on the left hand side looks the same. We've got pictures, the name, companion 1, companion 2. We've got the details of different weapons that are in their inventory, but then where we used to have very large blue buttons, which sometimes were so wide that they sort of squashed up this side of the screen, and in fact specifically sometimes meant that this appeared on two separate lines. We've now got these much smaller icons, which I think look a lot better. If you hover over one of those, you can see that it says order companion to equip to main hand, and then the other one says order companion to equip to offhand. And if I click on them, it'll be the same as if I'd clicked on the buttons that were previously there. Now I'm going to order this companion to equip the machete, so I can show you the other change that I've made. But before I do that, I just want to point out these hands are sort of wrong. If you imagine these hands as being held up with the palm towards you, then this one would be the right hand and this one would be the left hand. And of course, for most people, their main hand is their right hand and their offhand is their left hand. So why have I done it this way? Well, I had the thumbs facing outwards. So this one had the thumb going that way and this one had the thumb going that way. But that didn't look as good to me. It looked a bit weird. Looked a lot better with the thumbs inwards. And it seemed more logical to me to have the order to equip to the main hand be first in reading order, and then the one to equip to the offhand would be second in reading order. Unfortunately, a combination of those two means that if you interpret this hand as being palm outwards, then all of the companions are left-handed. So I suppose it could be that you could think of it as being these are hands that are sort of like crossed over or crossed over and like you're seeing the back of their hand or something like that. But yeah, I don't know that it's that noticeable, but I did want to point out that it sort of slightly doesn't make sense which icon is used for which hand, but it sort of looks a lot better that way, and that's why I did it that way. Anyway, so let's order them to take the machete, and we'll just click through. I'll just retreat and advance, and then we'll click through to that companion's turn. And we'll see the other change. So enemy 1, enemy 7, enemy 6. Okay, so here we have the difference. So previously, this would have said something like companion 1 swaps their pistol. Well, actually, it would have said exactly companion 1 swaps their pistol for their machete bracket sharp end bracket, because all this did was just give you the names of the weapons involved, and machete bracket sharp end bracket was the name of that particular weapon. I wanted to keep that as the name of the weapon, machete sharp and machete blunt, but it didn't seem like, it didn't sound like sort of normal English to say they swap their pistol for their machete sharp. I wanted it to say what it says here. Companion 1 swaps their pistol for their sharp machete. That seemed much more natural. So I've done a little extra bit of code that makes that happen. So as usual, I'm going to now spend the rest of the video showing you the code. So there aren't any new variables needed for this. We are going to learn a new command, but we'll get to that when we get to it. And we're going to be looking at companion inventory and companion equip. So let's look at companion inventory first. What I did was fairly straightforward. instead of a button command, we have an img command. And the, sorry, that's the wrong img command. Where is it? There it is. That used to be a button, and now it's a img command, which of course stands for image. And the image, this is a sort of probably the most complicated version of the image command. It's got all the extras. So the way it works is we have square bracket img for image, square bracket, then you have the text that you want to happen when the mouse is hovered over the picture. In this case, it's order companion to equip to main hand. Then we have this vertical line, which I don't know what it's called. Then we have the location and name of the graphic, which in this case is art/hand space main.png. Then we have an end square bracket and a start square bracket. We have the destination. We have where we go when this button or picture is clicked, which in this case is order space capital I, or order to. Then we have yet another square bracket, and we have the changes to the variables that are made, and then we close it off with two end square brackets. And the changes to variables are written in a slightly different format to what we normally do. We normally have set variable equals whatever the value is. But for this command only, it's done slightly differently. It's like v to whatever the value is. So in this case, we might have z to 3, y to 6, w to 2, v to 1. And if we have more than one, as we do here, we separate them with semicolons and optionally spaces, but I think it is quite a bit easier to follow if we have those spaces, or it looks a bit, I don't know, it's a bit easier to read. So we have that image, which is to equip to the main hand, and then we have this one down here, which is to equip to the offhand, and it's identical except that the hover text is different in that it says offhand instead of main hand. The graphic that it uses is different. It's art/hand off instead of art/hand main.png. And we set v to 0 instead of 1 because v is the variable that deals with which hand the weapon is going into, where 1 means the main hand and 0 means the offhand. All right, so that is the icons, replacing the button with the icons. And the other change, this is quite straightforward. We had 4 print commands. So it said something like this: print companion plus I and I who draws there, whatever the name of the weapon is. And all we did, the first thing we did was we changed that. So instead of being print that bunch of text, we set a temporary variable, in this case v, or $v equal to that variable. So we changed that one, that one, that one, and that one, all to be assigning a value to a variable instead of printing something. And the reason we did that is because so that we can change the text if necessary. Now we've already dealt with the replace command, where you specify the text you want it to look for and the text you want it to change that text to, and it will replace the first instance of that text that it finds. replaceAll is exactly the same, except that it, if there's more than one, it will replace all of them. So replace all instances of machete space bracket blunt end bracket with blunt machete. This is all case sensitive, by the way, so capital M is different to lowercase m. It's considered to be a different character for the purposes of this. And similarly, we replace machete space bracket sharp with sharp machete. Now, the circumstances in which you would have more than one instance of machete blunt or more than one instance of machete sharp are a little bit corner case, a little bit obscure. It would only happen if you were replacing one blunt machete with a different blunt machete. And of course, that's not something that has any mechanical value to do. So a a player would presumably only do that if they were testing to see what happens, or if they had clicked the wrong thing by mistake. But it could happen, right? It's a move that the player could make, albeit a silly one. And I thought, well, we better code for that that possibility. Oops, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to move that. So we'll use replaceAll instead of replace. If I hadn't done that, it would only replace the first instance, and so we'd have something like companion 2 swaps their blunt machete for their machete bracket blunt end bracket, which again sounds a bit awkward to me. All right, so those are the two changes I've made, and we've learnt a new command, albeit it's more or less identical to one that we've already learnt. There are several other things that I've already mentioned that I want to change in this layout and in some of the code that relates to it. There's also a couple of new things that I noticed, but I'll be dealing with those as we go and talking about them in future videos. I will leave it there for now. I hope that was useful or interesting to at least some of you, and I hope you will tune in next time.